Hey, what's up YouTube? David RDB, welcome back again to yet another video. This is not the video I intended to upload, but because I failed at a tutorial that I was doing, I'm uploading this instead. I will re-record the tutorial and upload it later, but for now, 10 tips in specific for street photography because that is something that I've been recently exploring. I'm also traveling a lot and I'm trying to learn this as I do it, and I'm going to give you my advice as I'm learning it as well. Quick spoiler for the video, it was a double exposure tutorial, and the reason it failed, I forgot on OBS my shortcuts for starting and stopping recording are the two bracket keys. And in Photoshop, that is one of the most common keys you use. As I'm using the keys, I'm constantly stopping and doing the recording, but I'm recording my webcam on this device and my screen on this device. I have one long video and a bunch of clipped videos, so there's a few seconds missing from the long video. It's gonna take way too long for me to edit, I'm not bothered, so I'm just gonna re-record it. Anyways, tip number one, subject matters. It's a very obvious tip, but it's something to keep in mind when going out, I don't want to say on the streets, but going out and recording. That's how I'm gonna refer to it. I know, just, all right, going on the streets, it's same difference anyways. You're looking for something. You're looking for a focused piece of your image. You just don't want to walk around and shoot random crowds of people and shoot random buildings. There must be some form of narrative or story behind it while you're shooting it. There must be like a focused piece to your picture. A great photo, in my opinion, grabs your attention for a specific reason, or multiple specific reasons, but there must be something in it. That is why you have boring photos that pique zero interest, and then you have some photos that might have one object, but that one object is captured so well, piques the interest of whoever is watching it. My next tip, and this is unless you're specifically going for it, you're going to have to wait a lot when doing street photography. You're going to have to avoid crowds of people. You're going to have to let people pass. You're going to have to accept that people will walk in front of your camera sometimes and you get interrupted. You just have to be waiting for people, and you're going to definitely have to be patient in that sense. My tip is avoid taking the photo when there's a massive crowd. Wait a couple of minutes if you have to, see if the crowd dies down. If the crowd doesn't die down and you are a local, just come back at a different time. If you're a tourist, unfortunately, in my opinion, you should still take the shot, but if you can, avoid the crowd in your photos. Because if you're like, oh, I'll maybe edit a few people out and post, it doesn't always work as you think it will. Even with the current AI removal tools, it's not the easiest or the smoothest. I'm going to be posting a London Bridge photo where I did the best I could at removing a lot of people, but it's still not perfect for what I wanted it to be. Tip number 3, use zoom lenses. If you're specifically photographing people and you do not want to be going up to people and asking them to pose, you still want them to look natural and realistic. The way around it, with a stalker way basically, is shoot them like from a very far distance. As in, grab yourself a zoom lens where you can zoom in a lot and capture them more naturally like that, because it's a lot less awkward than coming up somewhat close to someone with a 50mm and shooting them. Also, that sounded really bad anyways. Just that out of context, it just sounds like a gun, but whatever. There's those memes of how photographers talk about their shoots and the person doesn't know they're talking about a camera and they think it's a gun. Anyways, I found it's an easy way to get more natural reactions. If you're not confident walking up to someone and just asking them, hey, could I take a photo of you? Could you pose for me naturally? Could you pose for me? It's an easier way to get more natural, laid back kind of photos. And they will never know at the end of the day, and you get a nice photo of it. It's a little bit creepy, a little bit weird, but it's part of the photography industry. Zoom lenses are your friend in street photography. Tip number 4 is, again, self-explanatory, but find different angles and use reference images if you're shooting some landmarks. Because if you're shooting a landmark and a lot of people shot from the same exact angle, try find something different. Try experiment, walk somewhere else. Find maybe a cafe with a terrace, go up there. Try be a little bit different if you can. Also take the popular angles just to have practice and making sure everything is in focus and correct and properly exposed. But find different angles. You're outside, you have time, as in you can walk around, explore while you're doing it. It's really nice in bigger cities, what I found when exploring Greece and London. For example, in Athens, when we were filming what's the main temple place? Oh, I forgot the name. Sorry, just slipped my head. But like the main attraction, basically. I have photos for so many different angles of that, from close-ups, from far away. We stumbled across a random park, and I had a really brilliant angle of it, and I shot a bunch of photos which I really liked. But while you're exploring and looking for other photos, think of different angles for the main focus of the day or whatever. Number 5, time of day matters, so find the correct time to shoot in. Early in the day is really, 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 really good. And at night, if you have a good enough camera, is also really, 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 really good. Two separate perspectives from the morning and the night. So use golden hour as well, use dusk, whatever mood you're going for, but use that in your photography to make sure your images either are a bit different or you're shooting at the correct times so your photos don't get ruined. A little bit cheating with this tip, but then tip number 6 is avoid certain times. Again, unless this is for some reason you're going for this, avoid the midday period when the sun is at the very literally above you. Usually your shadows are really harsh. Usually there's too much light going on. You need to adjust your settings dramatically for it to work. I would usually avoid those periods of time in the day, unless for whatever reason that is what you're going for in your style. The thing about photography, a lot of tips, if you're a good photographer, you know how to break and bend the rules to your will. But if you're a beginner photographer, stick to these guidelines so you are able to progress until you're able to manipulate these rules to your advantage. Probably with every single rule I said here, you could break it and it could potentially work, but the chances of it the chances for it working at a beginner's level are very low, basically. Avoid midday, avoid harsh shadows, unless that is really what you are looking for. Tip number 7, look for patterns. Look for patterns in the buildings, look for patterns with objects, maybe there's a repeating pattern somewhere, and use those patterns to create some kind of structure in your photograph. Maybe you're photographing buildings and they have a really cool pattern when you're shooting it flat. Instead of having like an angle where the building, for example, this is the building and it kind of goes like this. So you can, well, let's use the back of my hands as an example. So you can see that the back of my hands is kind of vanishing. But maybe the pattern looks a lot cooler if you're shooting it flat from this angle. That is the plane you're trying to shoot. Find patterns, find there's something interesting, try repeat it, because even in post-production, you can expand the pattern. Because maybe it's just a few items or few things that you are able to photograph. But in post-production, if you duplicate them for a bigger photo, it creates maybe a little more interesting effect or interesting look. And the reason I'm saying look for patterns is what you call it. You can later use them as textures, that's the word I was looking for, in post-production. If you layer different textures and different things on top of your photos, sometimes you can use another photo as a texture source. Even going out and shooting a pattern on the floor, maybe the floor has a specific pattern that you like. That could be useful, maybe not as a photo, but as something to help with editing a different photo down the line. Same thing with ground or gravel, things that might not seem important, but if you get a nice photo of them, can be useful later if you work with a lot of textures, for example, in your images. Number 9, show the ordinary in a new life. What do I mean by that? The beauty about street photography is you're photographing everyday things. In my opinion, the goal as a photographer is, if you're photographing something that everyone sees on the streets every day, is you turn that into something a little bit more special in the sense that it goes from something very simple to something interesting, something to look at. Because if it's normal, as in you're passing it every single day, you rarely pay attention to it, but if you can photograph it in a specific way, all of a sudden it grabs your attention. Something as simple as a street sign or a street light, you can make it look cool, maybe by adding a subject to it, maybe by stepping back a bit. I had a discussion with my friend literally last night, and he was saying how he hates my other friend, well, not my friends, but another person that he knows. He hates his photography because all he does is just go and takes a photo of a street sign, and that's it. There's nothing special about the photo, there's nothing unique about the photo, but that is his style. His photos are just literally the most ordinary things without any detail or any alteration. As a photographer, that could be your style and that's what you're going for. But in his opinion, it's boring. That would be also my opinion. My opinion with the photographs, you want to grab attention in some way. You want to turn the ordinary into extraordinary. Unless, again, your intention is to keep it ordinary, but again, that's every single rule on the planet can be broken, but these are my tips for beginners. And tip number 10 is straight to the point, look up and look down. Whenever you're, for personally, whenever I found myself being in, like, for example, on the streets of Greece, this is the reason why I want to revisit Greece, because I didn't pay attention too much to this until I got to London. In London, I was doing a lot better job at this, but in Greece, I was too focused on what's in front of me. I have so many photos just simply from this angle. I have really little photos from that angle and from this angle. Because you can take the same photo in many angles, like I said earlier. Simply like looking up and down, not only will get your inspiration flowing, not only you're gonna, as a person, experience more and see more, but as a photographer, you're gonna be learning, I can use this, I can't use this, I can use this. Something as simple as looking up and down will not only give you ideas, not only open you up to a different perspective of certain objects, but when maybe if you're on a bridge, that's actually a mistake that I did again in Greece, but I fixed it in London. Whenever we crossed any bridges or anywhere high, again, my focus was just looking up, looking straight. I could have zoomed in on what's going on underneath me. I have one photo where I found an interesting terrace that I did take a photos. Actually, I didn't fully like not do this rule, but I have a nice photo which I haven't published yet. But it's a very simple photo, but because of how the terrace is, the structure of it, and the angle looking up and down, the photo works in my opinion. Just take that moment. You're out exploring. You're out having fun while doing street photography. The main purpose of street photography is exploration at the end of the day. So take that moment, relax, take your time, and just look around. It's simply just look around. Anyways, it was your boy DB. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like, comment down below, and sorry for waiting a month for the next upload, but like I said, I'm back, but I'm not fully focused on doing this. This is, again, background, and I'm showing you guys things and giving you guys advice. But mainly follow my Instagram and my TikTok. That's where I nearly upload daily sometimes. If you're really interested in my content, check those out. Anyways, thanks for watching. Peace out. Goodbye.